Central Region Town Hall at 18:10 hours. Roll call, Becky Schwinger, myself, Austin Pratt,
Here.
Atlas Pearson,
Here.
Kathy Herdman,
Here.
A little closer to the mic if you would.
Priest Martinez, and
So, yeah, he said he probably won't because he's coming from
Mendocino. Okay, so currently absent. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move item number 5 on the agenda, updates from Supervisor Crandall, to the top of the agenda because he needs to leave for a meeting.
So I'll let everybody know where I'm going. I'm going to the EPA Superfund site meeting in Clear Lake Oaks. It's been basically going on since the 90s. Oh, exactly. Okay. How about now? There we go. So EPA Superfund site over in the Clear Lake Oaks community. They're having a community meeting, so I wanted to get over there by 7 since it's from 6 to 8. So I'll be attending that, and I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar, but it's basically working on the they call it the Herman pit, and getting it prepared to be capped and get it to a point of cleanup, if you will. And so one of the things that I've been emphasizing in those meetings and discussions with EPA is to work with Spring Valley, who has a lake recovery project. So trying to get that sediment moved over to the other spot, because that's one of the concerns that EPA is having is how are we going to get some sediment over there? So working that together, keeping them on the same page. So rather than coming from out of county or wherever the case may be, putting that together. So that's where I'll be tonight. Wanted to mention something I know that Kathy brought up about funding. Working on pretty much have it settled. The admin office that takes care of the cannabis discretionary funds that each supervisor has. And so each town hall is basically going to get like split up of $10,000. So it's going to be $3,333, blah, 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 right? So it's basically like a seed fund for you all to use and have events and get engagement from the community, things like that. Anything that you think of that think will help the town. If you want to have like a fire safe meeting, or I know how who is it at the Euro Bistro, they have like a little gathering for the fire, the fire safe, or the what is that called again? It's the North Shore Fire like readiness type of so that's something that maybe you all can do, or even like how Cobb does like a Blackberry Festival or something, right? So that's going to be something that you'll all be able to have that for. The thing that we're looking at is how we did the PG&E funds, and if you weren't here then, the PG&E funds it's still there too as a $800, sorry, not $8,000, $800 distribution from PG&E for all 6 town halls. So the funding will be on top of the 800, so you'll really have more, right? A little more. Each town hall hasn't used their 800, but that was a PG&E grant back in 2019 and 20, and it never was really used for some reason, and then COVID happened, so it just kind of sat there. So you have that too, and that's going to help. I'm going to keep doing these mail outs for you so you can get engagement. It's been very difficult to get them to finally get on the same page. I ended up working with special districts to get the addresses for our area. So everyone in Lucerne proper, basically Conotay and Paradise Valley are getting those mail outs. And so you guys can determine if you want to do a month or every quarter. I was thinking that maybe you set your meetings quarterly and then go from there. And then that way we can get away from the canceling of the meetings and things like that, right? And in case there's a holiday, you're not moving one back, and then Dan's waiting outside with with Greg and
In the cold.
Yeah. So we want to make sure it gets more efficient, and I think we can get there. There's a couple other things too that I'll bring up. Before we talked about code enforcement, we're always having issues with code enforcement, and something that was finally brought to us that they are now negotiating a contract with a vendor who is going to collect our fines and fees, and it will be attached to the franchise tax board. So they're working on a price to finally, the company that has already, reached out to us, and it looks like it's gonna be one of those we're gonna have to waive the bid, and at times some people don't like it, but I'm like, we need this, I don't care. Our community is suffering from not having, they could put fines out right now and there'll never be, there's no teeth, if you will. And so the only way you can do anything is if there's a summary abatement, and then still it's not something that you can collect on. So that was promising to see. It was at the end of November they brought that forward, community development. So the vegetation abatement ordinance, the administrative fines ordinance, and the garbage ordinance now can be tied to this, and they can be cited, and if they don't pay it, then they can eventually start getting them through the franchise tax board, kind of like other entities, and so we all know that works in some instances. I know back when I was in my my Army years, I left to the Army, and they took it out of the franchise tax board for my registration or something like that, so I know it works. And Clear Lake uses this right now as well.
Okay.
There also is another initiative that the community development is working on. Right now we use what's called Acela, and it's a good functioning type of program for community development, code enforcement, and all of those different agencies. But this other one, it's like called OpenGov. And so this one is a lot more inclusive with other departments, a lot more inclusive with code enforcement and community development. You can actually input your permit online. You don't have to go and do everything in person anymore. There's less of a chance for community development to lose your paperwork for permits, code enforcement reports, things like that, because we know already we struggle with that. I will tell people a lot of times, hey, just make a code enforcement report. They'll make one, their neighbor will, I will, and we go back to it and we're like, they still haven't, done it. So this will show progress. This will give it, you all the opportunity to have more of an efficient way to do so. Hopefully Public Works can get on there too with the roads, right? Because I know that there's a couple programs. I've talked to folks from different counties, Madera County being one of them, where they have an app where you can take a picture and it gives the location and it sends it right into them. That's like yes, and I've been trying to talk someone into doing that, but OpenGov seems to be able to have that capability. We'll see if we can plug that into. So that's really that was really exciting for me when I heard that. So that's the other thing. That's really all I could think of right now. Yeah.
Harbor?
Oh, Lucerne Harbor. I was just telling Lars came here last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's basically the same, but he did state that it would be this year for sure, that he's got everything in order. There's nothing necessarily that can hinder it. They're basically going out for the bids, right? That's what I remember him saying, and yeah. So I don't have anything else except for he's putting it out for bids right now. Yeah. I'd have to find out, but I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah. Yeah, he seemed very confident. I was just telling Charlie, like, whenever I asked him about the harbor before, he's always, we'll see, and, I'll have to go back to my notes, but now he's like, yeah, the bids, we're getting it. It's going to get done. So, I mean, that's promising for me. I know that's not really, like, assuring for you because I didn't get a report from him, but yes, he did put out for the bids. So, and there's nothing else that can necessarily stop it, because SEEK was done. The permits they have the permits, and so the permits are there. There's no issues that can really stop it. So bids are the big thing. We have extra funding. What I mean by that is in case there is like another cost, we've worked with admin to put a cushion on just in case there has to be something on the side. So we don't have to get stopped, and say, oh, we can't do it because we don't have the funding. We have a cushion. So.
Great.
So we were at 400,000 last time, and now we still have a cushion to go with it to make sure, right? So yeah.
Did you have a question?
Not a question so much, just
Yeah.
a comment. One thing that Lars did let us know of I think more about the timeline when dredging could commence. like one section of time was, what was it, October to, I would think, through December, so inferencing up to and including the beginning of January, is
Yeah.
what he referred to as the hitch window,
Right.
which I believe that's just, for the health of the hitch.
Yeah.
Water can't be dredged within that time frame, specifically those 3 months per year, which means the dredging would have to take place before. Oh, sorry. So that means because of the hitch window, that means that the dredging would have to take place before that window or after it.
Before October?
Before October or after January is my understanding of the hitch window. No? That's right. I do remember that caveat specifically. So there's a way to get as he said, sorry.
To get an easement, you said?
I think so,
Variance.
within that window of time such that the dredging could still take place.
Yeah,
But that would be a bridge we would have to cross at that point.
yeah. No, I appreciate you remembering that, homie. Yeah, so that's what I have for now. You know.
All right. Thank you.
It looks like we have a hand raised in Zoom. Betsy Kahn, go ahead. If you can hear us, go ahead and talk. I don't know why we can't hear her. Hold on one second.
While you're doing that, I can talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Here, I'll take your microphone.
Let's see. Can you hear us now, Betsy?
Oh, you're not in on audio.
Yes.
There's
There's no sound,
There you go.
Betsy says.
Go to-
He's trying to connect
Yeah.
you.
Join audio. There you go.
Join audio.
Now, unclick on mute. There you go. Yeah. How about now? Can you hear now, Betsy?
Hang up.
Is she here now? Hello? You have to unmute her, I think. Okay, so go to the corner. Yeah, there you go. So lastly, I just remembered this as he was fixing that. The Lake Pillsbury, I'm sure you've all probably been following some of that, what's going on there. And I just had a meeting last week with California Fish and Wildlife, and some of the others, so Sonoma Inland Water, Mendocino Inland Water, Humboldt, and Sonoma County. They're mainly concerned about option 2, which is basically dam decommissioning. We've emphasized numerous times that we want to ensure that the dam is in place. But we understand if there's a study that shows otherwise, but a lot of the things that are said in the letters that are sent to FERC for a decommissioning plan, a lot of other letters that are sent out, or conversations that take place, always give the impression that the only way is dam decommissioning. And so other agencies and other water agencies are saying, well, or even ag, like Potter Valley, they just been approved for like a grant to build another dam. And we're like, okay, if there's a dam here, why are you going to spend millions of dollars to build a dam? So we're just basically trying to say, like, we need this reevaluated. We understand people have to position themselves for what PG&E is doing, because we understand they're the main culprit. But we want FERC to make PG&E do what their due diligence should be, rather than charging us higher prices and rates so that they can decommission the dam. We want to see, okay, what are you going to do with the sediment? Or we could tell in our opinion and looking at what they're doing. They just want to hand it off. They've got this other group called Pacific Generation that they want to use as a LLC to take over as well. And so for us, it's a situation where we're like, well, they want to absolve themselves of any type of responsibility. So we're making sure on our end that we send letters back to PG&E. We just sent one recently telling them unequivocally, Plan A for us is dam to stay in place. We emphasized why, which is also fire, water for fire suppression. We showed a map. We did a presentation. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's on my Facebook website. I can put one on CERT as well. And we basically gave a rundown of why we feel the dam should stay and what will happen in the future, because we feel also that a lot of plans are thrown out from different agencies that are basically waiting for the water. And also PG&E is basically, they're saying like, well, this is what we hope will happen, but there's not really any type of true plan. Frustrated with the fisheries as well, because Cal trout especially, but we've been talking with them in an amicable manner now, but when we initially tried to ask to be part of different groups to study why the dam should stay and why the dam shouldn't, and it's called the NOI party, they voted to not allow us at the table. We told the whole group at one time, the dam is needed for cool water flow for the salmonids. It just basically, no one really commented. And here we are, July, August timeframe. They're asking for, they being Cal trout, asking FERC to ensure PG&E raises the gates, because the water at that time when they lowered it due to seismic reports that it was killing the fish, because it was at like 80 degrees Fahrenheit but like 20 degrees Celsius. And so they're like, hey, the fish are dying. And we're like, we've been telling you that, like, let's look at these things. Let's not just say, well, this is what needs to happen or whatever. And then we started looking further into different tactics or different animals. We all know the tule elk or another animal that thrives from that. But also, they always mention the pike minnow being an issue or being a predator on the salmonids. But then also, they are going to be in the streams as well. They're going to adapt. They're going to live. They're still going to be able to, prey on the salmonids. And so an eradication plan is not even in place, really. They don't have that. And so these are just questions we're posing to them. Just give us these answers and we can, whatever the case may be. But it seems like it's really more, it's sped up, and we feel like it's just sped up so that we can just get to where they want to get, and whatever happens, happens. They try to ensure that they try to refer to Klamath as being what we should follow, and that's not really a fair comparison to what we're dealing with. So we continue to stand our ground in this situation. We don't try to be adversarial anymore. It doesn't really get us anywhere. And it showed at that meeting when we did the presentation, because there's people that heard us and they felt like they were able to finally give a voice, have a voice to say the same thing. So that's what's going on with that. I know that they've laid out their decommissioning plan to FERC, and they're looking at 2025 being when it starts. But in the meantime, we've said it in the meeting that we had last week. We really, our goal is to ensure FERC slows the process down, so we can really look at a lot more rather than just like tearing it or planning to remove it without a plan. So yeah, that's basically what's happening with that. And I don't know if you got to fix that.
Yeah, let's give her a shot.
All right.
She was basically saying that she'd been watching since 6, but there wasn't any sound happening.
Hopefully I fixed the sound issue.
Okay.
Can she talk?
Yeah, you gotta allow her to talk.
Sure.
Yeah, ask to unmute, yes.
She has to confirm it on her end.
She may have given up. It's very frustrating.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, and by the way, the video is gorgeous. you know, that whole new setup, it's just,
Yeah.
I can
Just
speak
not
up.
loud, just not
Thank you
loud.
so much.
Can, Betsy, can you turn up your volume?
My volume is at maximum.
I can't hear, so that would be on her side.
I don't know, you're the tech guy.
Uh,
Did
we
she have
can-
a question?
Did
maybe
you have a
that she can
question?
Type in the.
Maybe you can type it in. We can barely hear you. I'm not sure really why.
It is not on my side. I use this computer all day for Zoom meetings. So
Well, she's been in all-day
sometimes it-
meetings, she's saying,
And-
so it's not on her end that it's a problem.
And,
Could it be the laptop sound?
No.
the sound on my laptop is on the maximum, and it's never been a problem.
Does she just have a question that she wanted to ask EJ before he leaves?
The chat is disabled. I would normally be able to put something in the chat, and the person who is running the computer would see, I could write that there's no sound. But with the chat disabled, I can't do that. And I do want to say that the video that EJ was talking about is absolutely fantastic. I recommend that everybody watch that and share it as much as you possibly can. Thank you.
I don't know, well, we don't have anything to take action on, but we were gonna take action on
Here we go.
we just won't, this one. I do have one question I need to ask EJ before he leaves.
You want attendees to, yeah, let's just do that. Ask her to put in the chat now.
Can you hear us now, Betsy?
Yep, thank you.
And then she can chat now.
Thank you very much.
EJ, but while that's going on, could you just speak really quick? You said because the second Monday in January is a holiday, and then you said something about the appointments of, and so what day the meeting should be held for January?
That's right, we were talking about that because we appoint or reappoint on the 9th because the 2nd is a holiday, or the 1st is the 8th is not a holiday, but it would basically be this group meeting again, and then the 9th we appoint. So I don't know if you wanted that to be the first meeting. I think it's up to you all. If you want to still meet on the 8th, you can, but we basically appoint on the 9th, like either reappoint or appoint, if that makes sense. And then I think it's the 15th, is that the President's Day, or is it no, the 22nd is. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's, yeah. But if you guys are fine with meeting on the 8th still, we can. It's just that the appointments happen on the 9th, or reappointments, or whatever the
Well,
case.
if we are not taking any action, then we can just leave the meeting at the second Monday as normal schedule.
You guys let me know what you want to do. I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good for continuity and just we've setting a precedent that like the second Monday is when it's happening.
Okay. Right.
Agreed.
Okay. That way everybody, when they get, you want me to do another mailer for January? I mean, this one was, I did it because I wanted to get it out so people can come, but I can do another one. That way people know even more sooner, if that makes sense. Yeah. All I gotta do is change the date. Yeah. You guys are good with that, I
You
will.
would be able to put the quarterly dates, if that was your intent, was to do the.
I was just gonna do one for January. I was
Okay.
gonna do one just because we did, this one worked, but it got out Saturday or Friday, right? When did you guys get yours? Was it Friday or Saturday, do you? Okay. Okay, yeah, because I want to get it out so they have it like the week before, you know what I mean? Yeah.
One thing we could do too is at the first meeting adopt an annual calendar. And then-
That was what we were supposed to do this meeting,
Oh,
but
is that right?
because we're not gonna take action, we'll just leave it.
Because once we have that, that's something that you could even incorporate into a mailer potentially, and
Yeah,
just
for
have
sure.
the whole calendar there.
Yeah, we'll just postpone that
Yeah.
till next month.
People can throw it on the fridge and
Yeah.
everything's there.
Maybe we can get one of those little magnets.
Yeah. Dream big.
Same with like Lisa Kaplan. Yeah, so.
You guys do it?
Yeah, well, so when I add her as like a panelist, co-host.
Was Betsy
Okay,
able to get her
Betsy,
question?
Betsy actually had a statement to make. We're just having some audio issues. I'm not sure exactly. Could be because he's first on the panelist and I'm second. I don't know. I don't actually understand. Oh, you're off now. Okay. So, but we still, don't have her audio. Betsy said, I would like to introduce you to the Lake County Community Organization Active in Disasters, otherwise known as COAD. Community Organizations Active in Disaster is a collaboration of non-governmental groups supporting governmental emergency responders. When the Office of Emergency Service does the following: number one, the Director of Emergency Services, Sheriff, orders mandatory evacuation of endangered areas, and number two, the Director initiates response assistance operations, temporary evacuation service sites, and overnight shelters or alternatives. And number three, the Director requests multi-jurisdictional responses by agencies assisting evacuees, starting with the Department of Social Services and the American Red Cross. 2023 status: approved bylaws formed shelter and preparedness committees and elected a board of directors after a slow start in August of 2019. COAD member organizations, ARC and CO, offer training and deployment of community emergency response teams to help set up shelters operated by the American Red Cross. The Lake County COAD website is www.lakecountycoad.org. And then she says the host is not allowing participants, which I am trying to do that, and it's not working.
Okay. Well, we could move on, and then if there's other announcements, we can do those under announcements too, if people have other comments.
Okay, so
So we still have
I can't
public
even
input
ask her to-
also. So, our meeting, or minutes for November actions postponed until January anyways, January 8th. Then, ad hoc committee updates, so I'm sure Kathy's got.
I really don't have anything. Part of what we were going to do was, Betsy was going to talk about COAD, because it's something everybody should be aware of, that these are community organizations that are active in disasters. So it's just helpful to know which organizations are on board, and we're not dependent solely on sheriff or solely on fire departments, that theoretically these organizations all stand up and participate whenever there's a disaster. And it's just good to be familiar with them.
Okay.
Okay, she should be unmuted, so Betsy, can you talk yet?
Yeah, it looks like I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Well, that's the problem. I can barely hear you tonight. I do apologize.
You want me to yell?
Okay, go ahead.
I can do that. I did when I first got through. So you can, first of all, you can change the settings on chat so that people can save just by clicking on the little icon to the right.
Kathy,
When you're
should
in the
we
chat.
save her COAD for
Just do that. And
announcements?
that's good for you guys.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
But in the meantime, thank you
Oh.
very much for.
Unfortunately, Betsy, that's not the issue tonight. It has to do with how I joined the Zoom meeting. We don't have this problem when I do the CAC or the Middletown or the Eastern region. It's been, I'm going to figure it out. And it'll probably be Wednesday night when we go to the Western Region Town Hall in Upper Lake.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you all for being citizens that care. and taking these jobs is pretty tough going, and I appreciate how dreary and tedious it can be, but it's so important. So thank you.
I didn't catch.
Thanks, Betsy.
Oh,
She was thanking us, I guess. Thank you, Betsy. I do apologize. And you know, if you'd like, you can, if you type me a message, I will, and raise your hand, I will read your message.
okay, so, Kathy, nothing else under, mission or Fairways?
Nope.
And then, item 4B, naloxone training and kits.
Yes, I'm happy to speak about that. I have some concerns that people may not realize that anyone who takes an opioid for pain management, any opioid prescription, can accidentally overdose if they're not taken exactly as prescribed, or if somebody forgets that they've taken their medication and doubles up and then has a couple of glasses of wine at dinner. Accidental overdoses happen everywhere, and to me it's important for family members and friends to have naloxone around, easily accessible, and know how to use it. So I've been volunteering with public health since pre-pandemic, actually, and they have given me 60 full naloxone kits to distribute. So if anybody is interested, you can let me know. The training is very brief. It's not a big deal, and once you're trained, you can have the kit, and then, you know, if grandma accidentally overdoses, you can save her life. So I think it's very important. I'd like people to think of it as a different branch of harm reduction. It affects all of us and anybody who takes opioid medications. Thanks.
Does that
Did-
work on animals still, like if an animal, dog picked up something off the street or something?
Go ahead, yeah.
Yes, it does actually. Canines for the police department, they take naloxone for everything.
So the question was for the audience is, the gentleman asked is if the Narcan also works for animals. The young lady was able to answer the question, and yes, it does work for animals. Thank you for that. And just so you guys know, going forward, like if we use the microphone, then everybody in the audience can also hear your questions and answers.
And then Kathy, is there some way you would like people to contact you?
If you guys are all on that email list, and I'm sorry I don't recall your name. Okay, if you want to give me contact information, I can let you know. We can meet anywhere. I figured that when the weather's better, we could just meet at the community garden, and I can do a training. It's very, very brief. But I have your emails. I sent you an email, so now you have my email. You can contact me, or you can call me on my landline. I'll pass out that number if you'd like, or if you have pen handy, it's 707-274-8274.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Okay. Next is item 4C, the 2024 CERT calendar, and it will remain unchanged for now, so we don't need to take any action on that, which is our meetings have been the second Monday of every month, just to reemphasize that. And then Supervisor Crandall spoke about 4D, use of county discretionary funds for 2024. Since the meeting agenda was not posted on the county's website, we aren't going to take any action on that, but he suggested that there's different uses we could come up with during his update, so we can bring that back next month as well. And then item 5 was Supervisor Crandall's update, and now item 6, public input. A citizen has up to 3 minutes to provide input on any item not appearing on the agenda. These items can often be further discussed on a future agenda if the Earth Council agrees to add it for a future item. Are there anybody that has any public input? Yes. Oh, sorry, he had his hand up first. Does he need the microphone?
Okay, I'm just a little bit confused as to why the meeting last week got canceled. I know the sign on the door, or no, I take that back. My email said that it did not get posted on the county website, but I know it was posted properly around town, so I'm wondering why that wasn't good enough to be able to hold the meeting for last Monday. And the other thing, a couple of other things. Last meeting, I requested that we put on the agenda another cleanup weekend like we had back in June. And I'm under the impression that the reason for these meetings is so that we can do things for the community. And when we request things be put on the agenda so that we can benefit the community, I don't understand why they're not put on the agenda as requested. And lastly, it seems to me that, especially via the Zoom interactions, a lot of the things that happen from the people on Zoom are items that are not on the agenda, and so they would conflict with the Brown Act.
So I can answer why the meeting last week was canceled. Due to current Brown Act provisions, in order for a meeting to take place, not only do you have to post it at the site location, you also have to post it on the governing body's primary website. So that's the issue. It hasn't always been a provision, but it is something that was recently introduced. So whenever the agenda was sent out to county staff, it was a Friday afternoon. I think it was primarily just a matter of they didn't get to check their email in time and post that. So that invalidated that meeting, effectively.
So you said that's something new?
It's new-ish. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it's something we practice in Mendocino County. It's a huge part of my job. It's a pain, but the Brown Act has been constantly evolving since COVID started.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any, you had a comment? Thank you.
Could have handed it to you.
And could you say your name for everybody, please?
Yeah, hi, my name is Megan Morgan. I'm with Lake County Behavioral Health Services. Betsy Kahn asked me to come to the meeting tonight to just really quickly touch bases on a couple things that are happening, mostly in Lakeport, but these are examples of things that we can do in this area as well. So we're currently partnering with the City of Lakeport and Lakeport PD to host town halls about every 4 to 6 months. You may have heard of our one where we discussed homelessness in Lakeport and how that affects residents. It allowed residents to come and air some of their concerns and hear about some of the resources that are available. We're going to be continuing that in a series of town halls, and it's something that we could definitely bring to this side of the lake as well. We have other things going on as well, such as we're going to be embedding somebody from behavioral health directly into the Lakeport Police Department, who will be going on calls with them to help with crisis. And we're also rolling out mobile crisis as of January 1st, which will be a crisis response team that'll be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where our team will go out to the person in crisis. So that's really helpful, especially in our more rural areas like this, where people don't have access to transportation or things like that. So we'll be able to take our team will go out to someone, whether that be a mental health crisis or a substance use crisis where they are in fear of relapsing or things like that. We'll be able to go out directly to individuals in our county. I just wanted to introduce myself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Richard Knickel. I haven't made some of these meetings in the past recently. Is anybody addressing, is there an update on the roads here in Lucerne? I understand they were gonna repave some of the roads. So I maybe missed that part of the meetings. And then the Pile Road is an issue. I was wondering if anybody is attacking the problem with that motorhome or RV that's sitting up at the top of the hill. I've complained to the Lakeport Planning Department or the code enforcement. It's been up there for 2 years. It's going on 2 years. And I just wondered if anybody brought that up recently at any of these meetings. And that's probably all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other, oh, here we go. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Greg Bianchini. I live on 13th Avenue in Lucerne, and I just really concerned about the break-ins and the robberies. Within just this last year, 7 of my neighbors have had their properties broken into, mostly stuff just stolen out of their yards, and a few break-ins, multiple, and people are leaving. My neighbor recently bought the house directly across the street. He's been broken into twice, and he just said, forget it, man, I'm out of here. He literally pulled up a U-Haul truck, pulled it up in front of his house, put it all in storage, and that was the last time I saw him. I've talked to him a few times, but he's just fed up. And this has all started within the last 2 years on 13th Street. And then also with the address 6282, where the Any Positive Change sets up their truck on Tuesday right in front of her house. That just recently, that property just got broken into last week again. You know, they knocked the boards off the back fence, and I guess they're like living in the yard. Across the street at 6289 13th Ave, that place is the next house that's been breaking into and squatting in, and it's really bad. You know, I know the owner. I actually talked to him today, and they literally, he came up and caught the people in the house, and then I guess they came back and they literally stole everything out of the inside of the house. I mean, they took his refrigerator, his brand new couch, a 3-piece couch, and just thrashed his whole yard, ripped the fence down, cut the locks off the gate. And so if we could get this, if that could, with all these break-ins on 13th Street, if we could get that on the agenda for next month. It looks like this list is pretty light, but the crime in all of Lucerne is just getting out of control, especially on 13th Street within the last 2 years. And then also, could we also add on the agenda that Any Positive Change with a needle exchange, if we could get that back on the agenda. I know a couple years ago we had that on the agenda, and we were making progress with that, and then it just kind of dropped off. But that problem has not gone away. It's actually getting worse and worse. Last Halloween was on Tuesday. I've lived on 13th Avenue for almost 9 years now. And the trick-or-treaters, I get probably a minimum of 40 to 60 kids. I make 50 bags for the kids. I have a
Your
little
time
bag.
is almost up, Greg, just
Okay.
let you know.
And then, so last Halloween, 0 kids. And guess who was there on Tuesday? Any Positive Change. It's like the parents, they're afraid to let their kids out with, with this, with the Any Positive Change. And we really would like her to find a new place to go. She's been on there for 2 years on our street, and we really need her just to move on and just find a safe place, where she could run her business, not in front of Shelley's house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Through the chair, if I may.
What?
Through the chair, if I may.
I'm sorry.
Through the chair.
Oh, yeah. Your time.
So we're gonna get that on,
So-
those two things on the agenda. It looks like it's pretty light, so it'll fit
I-
on
We
there.
can't make any,
I want to address the second part of that though, the any positive change. That was on the agenda. That was something that EJ was working on, and that's something that is currently out of the county's hands.
Right.
The state took over that contract. I know he was. This is something that I wish he was here to speak to, but I know he was working with them because at this point it's definitely out of our hands because it's already out of the county's hands,
Yes.
and they are trying to work with the state to figure some sort of solution out. But that was being addressed.
That's why it's no longer on the agenda.
And I think
Okay.
that was September.
All right, well, it needs to go back on the agenda because it is a problem on 13th Street. Look at
So-
all the
You need to
break-ins.
contact the state,
Yeah,
Well,
it's,
I'm here to talk to you
but
guys
there's nothing
with the
we
issue.
can do about it is the problem.
that's the downside, is at this point, it's out of our
Are you getting paid by
area.
any positive change? Are you getting paid?
Okay.
Oh,
Let's-
right, yes, I take it to the
Okay.
bank every day.
we're public, do we have any other public
Yeah,
comment?
because I see a lot
Hey,
of.
your 3 minutes is up, man.
Okay.
And so to address Mr. Biancini, is that how you say your name?
Bianchini.
Biancini. Oh, Bessie, you're going a little fast for me. Mr. Biancini's complaint is about law enforcement, in specific the sheriff's office,
Yes.
suggesting that the state-approved harm reduction program has any relationship to the break-ins is a logical fallacy.
Yes.
The APC service is being provided in the area in front of the Lake County Behavioral Health Services building, and the director, Elise Jones, ensures that the parking area is cleared before the APC parks in front of the building. Does that help answer any of your questions, sir?
It actually does.
Okay.
Because if there's, so the address where they're supposed to be set up is the behavioral health.
Correct.
Well, they're not set up there, they're set up in front of Shelley's house.
And one
Never set up.
Okay.
one thing I want to remind people of is that comments should be directed towards the SERF. Public comments should not be directed towards other members of the public.
Correct.
They should all be directed
And
towards us.
especially me.
Yeah.
So, for Betsy, because she wasn't able to hear your comment, apparently the gentleman is saying that the APC is setting up in front of a Shelley's house. I'm not sure what that means, but just to pass that on.
Okay. All right, so is there any other public comment? Anybody? No more Zoom? Okay, all right, so, if there's no other public comment, then, item 7, announcements. 7A, there are 2 SERF seats open for, the 2024 calendar year. It says, see the county website for information on how to apply. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at it recently to see, have you seen it?
When I applied for reappointment, yeah, it's like almost like a DocuSign type of application. So that's as far as I know.
Okay, so any member of our community within the Lucerne boundaries, including Paradise Valley, is eligible to apply.
Since the board was just appointed 2 or 4 months ago, why are
Sir.
there openings already? I thought it was for a 2-year term.
So it's set up initially to stagger the terms. That way, not everybody expires at once. So you start out, whenever you start a new body, which is basically what they did with the SERF, they got rid of Lath, formed a new body. They start, typically it's like a majority will start on 1 term, and then whoever's left over takes a short term. I think this year it was Priest and I who opted to take the shorter term.
I have a short term.
Oh, then maybe it's me and Kathy. Opted to just take the short term, knowing that it would be a guaranteed year, and then after a year, we would have to reapply for reappointment. And that's just so not everybody expires at once and you're left with nobody.
Okay, and then somebody could just explain how to join the SERF contact list. So I know we had an email list going. So I think you were kind of heading that up, right, Austin?
Yeah, that's right. If you'd like to join the CERT contact list, you could either pass along an email address and phone number to us here at this physical meeting place, or also the email address we have. I believe EJ has one set currently.
Yeah, it's on the CERT page, and it's also, you can email EJ at Supervisor Crandall. Probably be better at this point if you just give us your email addresses.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, at this point, currently, we would be best to just take in your contact info, and then we would be sending it out within the next cycle.
Okay. Well, that is the end of our agenda. So, since we are not taking any action, we'll adjourn this meeting. It's 19:01.
All right, we're adjourned.
So thank you everybody for coming, and look forward to seeing you next year. Our next meeting is January 8th, and hopefully you all have a nice, safe holiday season. See you in 2024.
Thank you. Yep.
Adjourned.